So, hello and welcome. Today we have Amartya Ghosh as our guest to our Micavaani podcast. This is RJ Anurag for you. It's 2 a.m. in the morning and we are doing this podcast right now. So, it feels really awesome. The feel is nice. Whoever came to the gig, we had Amartya Ghosh and his friend Mahesh performing at Mica for the first time.
No, Mahesh and I have played together once on my birthday, incidentally.
But it wasn't at Mica.
It wasn't at Mica.
Yeah.
No,
So,
no.
Mica, you guys came for the first
This is
time?
the first time I played at Mica for Mica. I think early this year, Fangirl had done a little the house concert series that was happening at Gulmohar Greens.
Yeah.
I played there, and I'm assuming a bunch of you guys from Mica were there.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
was there. Moment I heard the first song, I recognized that I've heard you somewhere.
Yeah.
Still same
Yeah.
feelings. It was around this time only. I think December
Yeah,
or something
I
like that.
think
Or
it was
January. I
December
don't know.
or
Like,
early
It
January.
was winters.
Yeah,
I
it was
remember.
winters,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
winters. It was really cool. And going on a gig, especially when it's winters with a bonfire and all, you get into the feeling. For you, does it matter performing in summers or winters? Like, is it different?
Usually I like playing more personal kind of sets.
Hmm?
I think winters kind of brings that in.
Yeah, that feeling.
So yeah, winters are great
Yeah.
in that sense. But yeah, honestly, I don't really think about the weather so much. But yeah, it's great. It's
For
great.
me, it matters. Like, the feel matters.
I'm sure.
So whoever was in that performance, whoever's heard Amartya Ghosh, you already know he's a wonderful singer. It was a great feeling listening to that gig for around an hour, something. Lot of songs, lot of lovely songs. We'll definitely post the links of those songs, whichever found. And he's a wonderful singer. So, how was your experience at Mica? Like,
It's been
when did you come to
great.
Mica?
I arrived this morning.
Hmm?
The first thing that struck me is like the immediate beauty of the campus, and also how clean it is, and
Yeah.
there's a very homely feeling to this campus. I actually wish I could have stayed longer because it's quite something. I've stayed in hostels myself during college, and it kind of made me nostalgic and envious at the same time, because it's a fun time staying in a hostel and being inside a campus. It's a cool thing.
And especially at Mica, it's really peaceful. Like, I feel that, like, away from the city,
Yeah, it is.
there's no
It
much
is.
cacophony from outside or
Yeah.
something like that. It's chill.
I saw a little bit of wildlife also. Some
Yeah, a lot of
really,
monkeys.
interesting
peacocks.
looking birds and langurs.
There's a lot of snakes also. Yesterday we found a python. Like,
Oh, I heard.
whenever we found snake or something like really fishy, we click a photo and post it on the mail group. Ki, beware, there's a snake inside. So it was a python yesterday. Everybody was shocked. So yeah, we have wildlife at our college. So Amartya, how, as I know you're a wonderful musician, how does it start? Like you said, you're in hostels in college and all. So when it began, like, how was your life in college? How your life is now? How was it in school? How did you become this?
Music for me began at a very early age. My mother and my sister could sing, and we have like this
So sister is definitely elder than
vibe
you.
at home where such things were always appreciated, and there was a lot of music happening around me at home, so music began right from there itself. Songwriting came much later. It actually, so up until my first year of college and throughout school, I was more of a guitarist than a singer. I really enjoyed playing the guitar, and I played music completely different from the kind of music I play right now.
Right now.
And when I came to college, there was a little bit of lapse in practicing and that much energy that I used to put in back then. And incidentally, my electric guitar kind of turned unusable.
Yeah.
And there were some problems with it, so I had to like go back to the basics and pick out my acoustic and
That was the
start
reason you
playing.
shifted your genre.
Yeah, I mean, I started after a point. I started writing because
Okay.
even back then I was composing a lot and not writing lyrical music, but
With
just
composing
making
music,
music
yeah.
and things
With
like
the
that
guitar.
with the guitar.
Yeah.
So once I made this shift, and I also started listening to slightly more interesting, different kinds of music, and
Like,
um, well, it actually started with.
influences matter. Like,
Yeah, this pen drive that my friend had left with me,
it
and
was in which class? Like,
no, this was in college,
in college.
in my hostel, and he had left a pen drive with me, and I rediscovered of sorts Simon and Garfunkel because I used to listen to them a lot when I was a kid, and then I started listening to more like complex kind of music, louder kind of music, but then. It suddenly became like a rediscovery, and then I wanted to play like very similar kind of music, and then I dug deeper and deeper, and I honestly think like whatever kind of musician you are, if you listen to a particular kind of music for a while, it will show in the way you express, write, play. So I think that happened a little bit, and I
Hmm.
started writing little by little. I had written a few songs before that,
Hmm.
when I was in school and stuff, but I don't play those songs anymore because they're like
What?
really
What?
embarrassing now.
What were the songs
But
about? Like,
so there
love.
was one called "Since You've Been Around," which was for like seventh grade girlfriend. So you can imagine the level of
Lyrics,
maturity in
yeah.
that song. There was one other song.
Do you remember any of the lyrics of those songs? Like, if you could.
I do actually remember them, but I'm not going to share them anymore. But then, yeah, it
Like,
was,
something like that would be really funny. Like, I
yeah.
don't know how it could turn out, or I don't know what have you written in what sense, but still.
I mean, I'll have to play it to actually remember it, and I'm not going to play it. But then, enough said, it was pretty like average. Little bit of self-exploration and discovery, and the good thing is that I had always had an inclination to write, and I
Hmm.
did write a lot throughout school and
Throughout
into
school.
college. Not
Just
songs,
songs as in writing, yeah, that's what
but
you
just
just
writing in
write.
general,
A
journaling and
journaling.
autobio kind of stuff. So it was like a meeting of two worlds for me when I
Hmm.
started writing more songs. And even today, most of my songs are often autobiographical,
Autobiographical.
and it's fun. Recently a friend of mine asked me this question, okay, what does it feel like to have your entire life documented in songs?
In songs.
And I hadn't thought of it like that, because when you're doing it you don't think of
You
it
don't think of it like
but
that.
then you take a step back and it makes sense. And yeah, it's been an interesting ride so far.
So when did you like started getting gigs and all, or when did you actually start performing in front of the crowd? Started.
Funny thing. So I had written this one song in college called Lone Dancer, which is on
Hmm.
my EP. And
I've heard it.
yeah, so I went back to my hometown to Jamshedpur for college holidays or whatever. And there's a
Hmm.
really small studio in Jamshedpur where I just went and recorded it. And it was a really
Hmm.
bad recording of the song, because the guys who were engineering, they had no idea what they were
Yeah.
doing. Like they just hit record and it came out. And I had it and I was just sharing it with my friends. I didn't know what to make of it. My ex-girlfriend sent it to some guys who were looking for acts for
For
a
that.
festival and within the city, and I got the gig. I didn't expect I'd get the gig, but I got it.
It's
The
like one
gig
of
got
those.
cancelled also,
Oh,
but it was a start. It was that realization ki hey, I can
you could
do
do
this.
gigs.
So then formed a band with a bunch of my friends in college called Percussive Maintenance, and a lot of the songs that I play today were actually written with the idea that they were percussive maintenance songs, even though I did all the writing and everything. Um, and those songs are stuck with me. The band is now broken, but
Broken.
um, it was an interesting time because there were so many possibilities.
So did you become a part of a band somewhere in your journey, or were you always independent? Just I'll do my own songs and
No, I
make my
wasn't
own music.
actually. For the longest time, I was very scared of
Being a
going
part of a
solo.
band. Okay,
And it was always the band first
man.
for me.
So did you try bands before
I
going
mean,
solo?
as I told you, I used to be like a guitarist pehle. So when you're
Yeah.
in that zone, the band is everything for you. And I kind of carried that with me.
Hmm.
It was only much later because Percussive was also a college band, and what happens with most college bands is that once college ends, there's a severe lack of decision, and people moves from cities,
Yeah.
and things like that kept happening.
So when was it? When did you pass out of college? Like
Uh,
year-wise?
14,
For
2014,
14.
yeah.
Not long back. Not
Not very
long back.
long back, but then it kind of started dying, and I could see it happening before it happened. So around 2013, I think I started playing solo gigs, and it was hard then because the idea of like a solo singer type thing for most places that have live music in the city, pubs or wherever, is that this person is going to come play a bunch of popular covers and go.
Yeah.
And the thing with me is that I don't play any covers. I've always, luckily, since I started gigging, have had enough songs to play an entire set.
The entire set.
At least for, like, hold the stage for 40 minutes just with
So,
my own material.
so your first set was 40 minutes. Your first ever gig.
Yeah, I
First
mean,
set.
including the embarrassing songs that slowly got replaced with better ones.
So were those songs or those 7 grade songs or 10 grade
Yeah,
songs
yeah.
you're
I
telling
mean, I
about?
played all of them because for me the thing was that for just because I wrote that song when I was in 7th grade and I don't want to play it. It wasn't that I didn't want to play it. First of all, like, I did want to play it.
Like, I'm getting extremely
And
curious now because initially I was thinking that song was just on paper. You've written the lyrics and just thought of a music. But now I know that you've performed that song.
yeah, no, I
I know you
have
could
played a
perform
bunch of
that
these
song.
songs, but then it's always there. This thing, Mahesh and I were talking about it in the morning also. That as a songwriter, I think the most annoying part of it is that when you start writing, you can't stop writing,
You can't stop writing.
and you're always writing. But then translating that into recordings
Hmm.
and having like a set, like I've recorded this now, and you can share it with people and things like that. There's a huge gap between the two. Like the album that I'm recording now has songs that I wrote in first year
In
college.
first year college.
So things like that always end up happening, and that's really annoying.
Okay.
So my mindset was that I'm not going to let a gig go or an opportunity go because I don't have 8 really great songs. Maybe I have 5 really great songs, 3 songs that I'm not completely sure of, but
Sure.
I'm going to take them now. Over time, as it did happen, actually, write new songs, and it didn't take me very long to
Yeah.
replace these songs and move on. And slowly, as you get more into doing anything for that matter, songwriting in this case, it became a more personal thing for me. And now I just look forward to making every other song. um, Basically, the newest song has to be the best song I've
The
ever
best
written.
song you ever written.
And
So is it like that? Do you feel
I do think it is like that because when I write a song, it's in the moment, and I consciously try very hard to be as honest as possible to whatever I'm feeling and to translate it into the song. Then eventually that moment passes, and then I'm in another mind space.
yeah.
But I have the song. So looking back at the song, I realize what worked for it and what didn't quite work for it.
Good.
So then when it comes to writing the next song, I have that in somewhere in the back of my mind, not very consciously. I don't think of these things very consciously at all, actually, while writing. These are all retrospective kind of thoughts.
Yeah. So like me and Amartya discussed that we'll be having songs in our podcast today,
Yeah.
and while we are talking in between, we'll take a pause and do one song. So,
Mhm.
Amartya, which song would you like to do?
I
Like, I want that
actually
7th grade wala song. Really.
I'm not gonna play that song, but then the song I want to play is called Boo Halima.
Okay.
I didn't play it for today's show
Okay.
because it's on a weird tuning, and I was really worried that I might break a string on stage. So,
So that's
and there were
really cool.
like
That's really
some
cool.
time constraints because I had so many songs to share,
Yeah.
and then so this song didn't make it to the show, so I decided
Yeah. So it's a
it's gonna
special
be
song.
the podcast.
Yeah.
Boo Halima is about this cat who I had rescued from outside my house last year, and two kittens actually,
Okay.
and both of them were really sick, and one of them died like the next day, and the other one I had gotten a little attached to, but even he didn't live for very long, and yeah, so I named him Boo Halima because Boo
So where
Halima
does this
is
name
this
come from?
tomb in Humayun's tomb complex.
Okay.
And although the original Boo Halima was a woman and this cat was male, gender neutrality for the win. But no one knows who Boo Halima was, what her
Yeah.
role was. And I didn't really get to know this cat, but I had gotten attached to it nonetheless. So yeah, this one's Boo Halima.
Definitely. Whoa.
I never cared for God, except for that one time you died in my arms. And I swear they say this a lot. The best ones are taken too fast. The best ones are taken too fast. The first time we met you were nude and unarmed. The next time you showed me your teeth and you snarled. And then you went straight to my head. I guess I'd be crazy if you were not dead. Happy and hopelessly charmed. Happy and hopelessly charmed. I'd sing boo, and I guess it's not all your fault. You spend most of your life with me after all. Boo, I can never forget. I guess I'd be crazy if you were not dead. And I can't deny that I've been denied. I look for you every once in a while, hiding under my bed. I guess I'd be crazy if you were not dead. I sing boo, oh, boo, oh,
Whoa.
Thanks.
I really wish there were more people in the studio who could clap for you, like you got the appreciation in our Micah performance.
No,
So-
I'm glad we're recording this. Like,
So since 2 years, I think we saw the performance you performed at the My Cafe area. This was the first time any performer is performing at the My Cafe area.
mhm,
We have this open air theatre thing.
mhm,
You
yeah, right
must have
behind
seen,
it.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
Last year, Dhruv Vishwanath came
Mhm.
from there, so it was also nice. But today was nice. The setup was really nice. I think thanks to Fangirl for that.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
setup
Those guys
lighting
do a
was
good
really,
job.
really, really nice. So this event was organized by Studio 7, which is our Mica in-house music committee. So
Mhm.
they arrange music for us. They send us playlists. They organize gigs like this for us, for Micans. So how did you like Studio 7? Like, you knew Veda.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean,
before
Veda
also.
and I have been associated for a really long time now. I've known him since college, actually,
Yeah.
and he has this little venture called Scooter Boy Productions, which was, I mean, he single-handedly kind of helped me do my first EP,
Yeah.
Broken Compass, and I could not have done it without him.
Without him.
So we've been associated very closely for a really long time, and I'm glad he got me here because I had a lot of fun today, and it's still on.
Yeah,
as
you were
clearly see.
great. You were great, and I think the audience who were not here, I think the song you played just now about your cat, it was wonderful. They must be knowing now how wonderful you are. So it was a really, really pleasant performance for us. For that day also, Gurmahagin, I remember that day also, and for today also, it was really, really good. So, as you told before that you came from Jamshedpur,
Mhm.
then you came to Delhi.
Mhm.
So, what's your background? Family background?
Like, so my father essentially works at a bank,
Hmm.
but he also has been running a cinema society
Okay.
and an NGO for, I think, close to 30 years or
30
something now.
years.
I'm not sure. Yeah, something
What
like
happens
that.
in that cinema society? So I am
Um,
really interested in, like, I call myself a cinephile. So
Yeah.
like,
No,
it
so
made me
this
curious.
cinema society is called Celluloid Chapter,
okay.
and they have a publication and they screen movies, and we have a
This has been happening since 30 years.
yeah.
So the
like,
club might be really big now. Right?
it's still a pretty small club, to be
Hmm.
honest, but a very passionate bunch of people. And there's a film festival that happens like every
They host
year.
the film festival.
Huh?
They host the film festival.
Yeah, they host the film festival. And so basically growing up, I had all of this around me. And my mother, as I told you, has always
Yeah,
been
singer.
into music. Both my parents have
Oh,
actually
was
been
she
into
a
music. My
singer?
mother can practice it.
Okay.
My father can't sing to save his life. But yeah, so that has been it. growing up, so Jamshedpur, as some of you might know, is a township,
Yeah.
and it's an industrial township. It's really small.
I've seen that
And
in Udan.
yeah, Udan is actually
Sort of
gets
covered.
it
Covers
covered
the
a
feel
lot.
of
Yeah,
Jamshedpur.
it's really pretty and everything, but
Yeah.
it's tiny, really
It's really
tiny.
tiny.
So, there wasn't a lot you could do. So I think for most of us growing up there, most of the people who grew up with me, friends and family, we all had this one thing that we loved doing. It could be a sport, it could be anything else. For a lot of us, it was just riding motorbikes for that matter. But then every one of us had that one thing, and I'm kind of grateful for that environment, because that's where the seriousness came in from. About, like if I'm playing my guitar or doing something, I will do it right.
Yeah.
For a fairly long time,
I think that shows in your like the personality that you have on stage. I was going to talk about it later, but yeah, continue.
Thanks.
We'll talk.
But then, yeah, like growing up, I was into archery, and I took that quite a ways forward, and then I left it once I realized that my passion for music was just stronger.
Yeah.
So there was always that vibe of not letting go, and I attribute it to growing up the way I did. And different people can have different reasons for doing just that, but I see it in fact within the small community of musicians that I have come into contact with. This is very evident that for some reason or the other, I mean, you can't picture yourself doing this regularly and with some meaning if you're not serious about it.
Not serious about it.
And in my case, I attribute it to growing up in Jamshedpur the way I did. I was a pretty asocial kind of child growing up. I liked being, I liked being indoors most of the time. I had like 6 friends.
So what were you doing indoor all the time? Like, what do you used to do at home in school
Mostly
days?
play Age of Empires. But also play the guitar. Like once I got into playing the guitar, that became more or less everything in my life of sorts, because again, it was an outlet, and everybody needs some kind of an outlet, and yeah, guitar and video games was mostly childhood for me.
So till class 12th you were in Jamshedpur?
Yeah. Up until class 12th I was in Jamshedpur. My parents have been really supportive throughout this entire process. So in my 11th and 12th grade, Jamshedpur is like 4 hours away from Calcutta.
Okay.
So I used to go every weekend to Calcutta in my last 2 years of school to take guitar lessons and learn.
You took guitar lessons in Calcutta?
I mean, I went there in the either after school on Friday or early morning on Saturday. I'd reach Calcutta. I'd do one class at Calcutta School of Music. I'd go learn from Amit Datta the next
so you
Sunday.
were quite serious about that in school.
I mean, it was always that one thing that teachers ask you, okay, what is your passion? Write an essay about it, and this was always the essay to do this. So
it was your the vision was always there since school ki.
I mean,
if I want to become
much grander, more unrealistic vision, but a vision nonetheless. Yeah.
No, a vision. It you're not old. I'm not talking to an old person. I'm talking to a 23-year-old guy. So whoever is just listening. So then after Jamshedpur, you came to Delhi with your guitar. Was it actually coming with the guitar or? Yeah,
I've always traveled on the train with my guitar and
that is another thing. But coming with the guitar, I'll come to Delhi with the guitar and change things and do something. Delhi is a big city, opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for me, my elder sister had already been in Delhi for 5 years, and I went to her college, Ramjas. And so I already had a second-hand idea of what it must be like. But still, I wasn't prepared for anything. And most musicians who enter DU, for that matter, enter through the ECA thing, and which I didn't do because I had the marks for the subject I wanted, and I was like, fine, I'm I'm
What
happy with
subject
this.
did you study?
I studied
Like,
history in college, which
not
is another
related,
thing
but
that I was really passionate about.
okay. So
Um,
did you actually study?
yeah, I did. I did. I'm not very great at answering
Uh,
examinations because I can't write very fast, and I never finish any examination paper. But yeah, I
but the
still
subject
do.
was
Yeah,
interesting.
I
I
still
used
do
to like
read like avidly, like most history textbooks
you
will
like attending
excite me.
classes. Like I had a lot of friends from Ramjas and such, and they were like
Hmm.
really fishy. Classes nahi,
I
classes
mean,
nahi.
I'm guilty of not
A
attending a
lot of
fair
classes.
amount of
Yeah. I think
classes.
everyone is guilty out there.
But the thing with Ramjas at least was Ramjas history particularly was that we had some exceptional professors
Hmm.
who inspired us in many ways outside of the
Outside
subject as
of
well.
the subject as well.
So there was always this um, urge to go and attend this class. College is also the time when we are all like very heavily self-introspecting and discovering our own selves and
Yeah.
our own interests and things like that. College allows you that freedom. So
Especially when you get some teachers like that, it
yeah, and
becomes really
having
special.
professors
Yeah.
like that really makes a big
Big
difference.
difference.
So thinking in a certain way and doing things a certain way was important to us. And so yeah, I attended a fair amount of classes and I didn't attend a fair amount of classes
So
to
it was
answer your
fine. It was
question.
balanced out.
Yeah,
Pretty much balanced
yeah,
out.
yeah.
So college was fine. So you started doing gigs in college when you were in 3 years, or did
Yeah,
you?
I mean, more so towards my second and third years. First year, I was still trying to figure things out.
Hmm.
Once I got that one gig that got cancelled, I
Yeah.
wanted to do more gigs and I didn't know how to go
So
about it.
was this gig first year, second year? When was
It
it?
was
The
in
first got
second year actually.
second
It
year
was
and
just
got
at the
cancelled.
beginning of second year, and I had no idea how to go about getting more gigs because I wasn't from this city. I didn't know
Yeah.
anyone. I mean, I knew only my college friends who were just as clueless as I was. So I started sending mails and going and meeting managers at pubs and
Hmm.
restaurants who could not have helped me because that's not how the
Yeah.
system works. And it took me some time. It was quite
To figure out
frustrating.
the system.
But for anyone else who is listening to this and is stuck in that rut, please keep like trying and
Stuck.
something or the other will come around. I don't know what clicked for me personally. I don't know if it has clicked yet, to be entirely honest. But
I think the trick is to stick on.
yeah, just
Whoever is
keep
listening,
doing what
stick
you're
on.
doing and don't be shy to share it. I guess, yeah.
So when did you get your first gig? Where was it?
I played like in Delhi. I played my first gig. Um, I think it was Lodi Gardens
Lodi
for this thing
Gardens.
called Too Indie for You.
Hmm.
The Lodi Garden restaurant with my band Percussive Maintenance. I think that was my first gig. Funnily enough, the picture that you guys have used for the poster
Yeah.
for Verve
Yeah. For the,
second gig, I think that was at the Living Room Cafe in
the
Hoskas.
sure.
Friend of mine had clicked, and
I think they
yeah,
shared photos. One photo was you in some blue dress, long hairs.
yeah,
That's I think your YouTube cover or something.
yeah,
YouTube
that
pic,
was
something
like
like
a properly done photo shoot. It was, yeah, those were nice times. But then going up on stage had been happening for a very long time. Jamshedpur, like I said, really small and we didn't have too many avenues.
Yeah.
So the bunch of us who were into playing music, we had formed a band and we used to practice like religiously every weekend and sometimes every day through the week. And the only place where we could perform was Durga Puja. So we would wait year long for that 1 week to
for
come
that
around.
one performance. So
And
the only opportunity you guys had
yeah,
that
yeah, and
one
we'd
Durga
play
Puja year.
whatever kind of music we could, most of which
And
was
how long that
Bollywood.
performance was?
Pretty long. I mean, by the time I was in 10th, we started doing this when we were in 8th grade. And by the time we were in 10th, I remember that Durga Puja, we played about 12 shows in 4 days. Or
12 shows
5
in
days.
4 days.
Yeah, or 5 days,
So
maybe
the
something
only
like that.
entertainment source in that Durga Puja were you guys.
I mean, we played at a bunch of pandals, like 2 shows a day,
Okay.
3 shows a day, like that. It became, and we were actually like kids who were getting paid to do this, so it was a big deal. And but it was fun. I
But there's
mean,
different music.
yeah, very
Bollywood,
different
yeah.
music. I was playing a very different role. I was just a guitarist and not like a singer-songwriter type vibe. I honestly didn't imagine being a singer-songwriter ever. I always
Yeah.
thought of myself as being uh, maybe like a guitarist or a composer or something like that. But
Yeah.
here I am.
Thing is that while you're performing, you're very stable. So we
Mm.
saw two performances today. I think there's a contrast, a huge contrast between you two. So what I saw, you stand still. You don't move while performing.
No,
Your fingers are
I
moving
don't
your
move too
guitar.
much. Yeah.
You just after your song gets over, you just move your hairs and just again stand. So you're stable.
Yeah.
And what I saw in Mahesh was moving, dancing, and then singing.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
So it was I think it comes from the type of music you're playing, or sort of it comes
Definitely,
from what you're
definitely.
inside, or do you guys create I think a stage personality kind of thing? Ki, okay, on stage I'll do this. I'm not
I
actually
mean,
like this, but on stage I'll be like
at
this.
least for me,
I
the
think this is the
stage
audience want.
personality thing came with time.
Hmm.
Wasn't
Yeah,
a
that's what I was
conscious
asking. It
kind of
depends on
thing.
the number of gigs you've
Yeah,
done,
like
and
over
then you
time
start thinking
you
about it.
realize ki, okay, these are the things I'm comfortable doing, these are the things I'm not comfortable doing, and it's best to stay honest to that
Hmm.
and not try to do things that make you too uncomfortable on stage, unless it's for a musical output of any
Hmm.
sort. If it's not serving any kind of musical purpose, then if it makes you uncomfortable, it's just not worth
Yeah, yeah.
doing then. And that's the thing with me and moving. Ek to like my music isn't the kind
It's in
that
the kind, yeah,
gets you
yeah, for
moving.
sure.
I'd like to think it moves you in
It
a
moves
more
you in a way.
yeah, but either way. So yeah, I generally don't move a lot on stage also because I have terrible hand leg coordination, which is why I'm really bad at playing the drums as well. Because I can't dance to save my life, and
So,
can't play the drums, which is why I also don't move a lot on stage. Because yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'm the most comfortable doing that.
so I
I
think it's a
move my head a
mix.
lot.
I think it's a mix of who you are, how your body is, and the type of music you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, who I am and what I think of myself also directs the kind of music I
You
make. So
make.
yeah.
So okay, let's play a game. So, all throughout what you've written, what you've performed, if you sort of have to answer this question, ki inside your audience mind, inside your listener's mind, what is that feeling you want to? What is that? What is your dream feeling which you want to
Um,
create in your audience, listeners?
I don't know
What all your
for
songs direct to?
s- well, the vibe has changed over time,
Hmm.
and even if you look at all the songs that I played tonight, so the first few songs like Bruce, songs like
Hmm.
Lone Dancer, had a very like they were meant to be uplifting because that was my vibe when I
Hmm.
wrote those songs. I wasn't playing any gigs, nobody knew me, and there was a need for constant I'm looking for the word, I can't find it
Like
right now.
constant, I don't know, constant acceptance, constant.
No, not acceptance, more like a morale boost, you know. So, which is why those songs always end on a positive, and they're all about keep trying,
Hmm.
keep doing this, and something good will come out of it.
So the
Uh,
thing like getting that something which sort of motivates you,
yeah,
something that
yeah,
waiting
yeah,
for that period,
yeah.
ki something will come
Then
and
there are
motivate
songs
me.
like most of my EP, Broken Compass. Out of the 6 songs, I think 4 of them are love songs, or can be
Yeah,
interpreted as love
as love
songs.
songs.
So those are pretty straightforward. And throughout even those songs, like one of them is a love song to a guitar,
Hmm.
for example, a
Yeah,
letter from
love is
Annabelle.
love.
So yeah, and that's what I just try to be as honest as possible to what I'm feeling at that point of
That
time,
kind of time.
and the songs kind of reflect that. Of late, I've started holding up mirrors to other people and to myself. So the songs I write these days are more they look out on the outside, like so Room, which was the one about Facebook, and
Hmm.
Don't Try, and all of these songs are about the people around me and about the things that are happening around me. They're
Hmm.
political, they're making a statement. So I guess that is my current vibe, and I also think that that vibe has slowly faded out because the last song I played today, Verdict, is again a very personal song of lost love.
Yeah.
And so I'm back to the love
Love
song
thing, yeah.
area again. But I don't know what I expect the audience to go back home with, but except for maybe just a piece of me, because
Yeah.
that's what I try to put
Yeah.
out in my songs. So writing songs mostly for me is a way to vent. It's a very useful way to vent, I think, because it does its job. Even if I write a song and never get to play it to anybody, just that process of writing it, putting it down in words, and then putting music to
Yeah.
it is very cathartic and it's very satisfying at the same time. It's great.
Ah, it is amazing. So, as an audience, I would like to say, I think every time I've heard you performing, it sort of took me into a trance where sort of everything in your life which you loved sort of starts coming in front of your eyes, especially in flashbacks. So you sort of start remembering people which you usually think you've forgotten about them, something like that. So it happened to me. So I remember this one moment from tonight. I was sitting in the first row. Like I was suddenly I went into this trance and I was like, oh, and like images come into your mind and sort of okay. So that sort of feeling I was talking about, ki, I think if you also think, ki, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I I want
nostalgia
to
is a
create
big
that
part
feeling,
of how I write
and
also.
especially nostalgia of things which you've like loved very closely and only you know about them, ki, yeah, you love them closely.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not
perhaps.
out there in the world.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is that again, I don't know everyone I play songs for.
Yeah.
So the only way to connect to them is to rely upon some sort of a collective conscience,
Yeah,
that every
that's what
human
I'm talking
being
about.
will
How do
feel
you
about something.
think of something like that? So every performer I don't know listen to, they talk about their gratitudes to the universe or something like that. So I think it's an expression towards some kind of oneness which they are referring to,
I
that
mean,
sort
yeah,
of
the collective
connects
conscience
everyone.
that connects us all is very real, that consciousness. But it's only, I mean, at least for me, I'm sure there are people who can do it the other way around as well
Yeah.
and do it very well. But at least for me, the only way to do it is to be very honest about what I'm feeling. So a lot of my songs actually contain a lot of secrets that I would not share with someone while talking to them. But they are guised in some way or the other, and they contain episodes from my life that I perhaps would not share
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
strangers
Yeah.
while talking to them, but I don't mind sharing it during a performance through a song. So that's what writing songs is for me. As I said, it's a way to vent and do it as honestly as possible and hope that somewhere, somehow,
Yeah.
it connects with the listener. Yeah, I'm glad you felt all the
Yeah.
great things you
So
felt.
is this feel specific to indie, or I don't know, how do you find indie industry? Like you've been
Yeah, I
2 3
mean,
years
I've
into the
been,
industry.
yeah,
How do
yeah, yeah.
you what do you think of this industry? How is it going? The main music industry and the indie industry.
I mean,
How the
I
things are working
still
out?
don't think I understand the entire mechanism of it that well.
Yeah,
But I think
definitely. From whatever
it's
you've
a
experienced.
it's a really it's a really welcoming space. It can be very intimidating also
Hmm.
if you're a stranger, which most indie musicians are at one point. But once you make your room and once you're comfortable with what you do, it's very welcoming because
Yeah.
everybody, no matter where they come from in this circuit, is here because they want to be here. They're not like, this is not
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that your parents
definitely.
force you to
They
do.
force you to do,
Yeah.
definitely. I
So
think it.
that kind of ties this whole scene together in a way. Nobody forces anybody to
Yeah,
be an
nobody
indie
to be an
musician.
indie
So
musician.
if you are an indie musician, you really want to be an indie musician, which is why you are an indie musician. Everyone has that very admirable drive. And it's great to. Mahesh was talking about this during his performance as well. It's so wonderful to keep meeting more and more and more people who are associated with this in any way, in a big way, in a small way, and even members of the audience, for example, indie music listeners, for
Yeah,
example, play a huge role in this because, again, you can't escape popular music.
you can't.
It's playing
Definitely.
everywhere, but if you're listening to indie music, you're listening to it because you want to listen to it. So that also makes a huge impact on
I think
us.
that is the
and
feel I'm
them.
talking about. Like there's some feeling attached to this. I think it happens to films also. Like whenever you see an indie film, it has this general vibe which you don't find in popular movies, in popular and anything popular. You don't find it. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
something is there which differentiates, and it's not definitely budget and the type of production, quality of production is definitely
no,
on that.
that is secondary. The thing is that with most independent art, it doesn't think of the audience before catering itself. When people create art for money,
Yeah.
I'm not looking down on it. There's some
Yeah,
great
yeah,
things happening in
definitely.
every commercial sphere, but music, be it film, be it art or whatever. But for the independent, the indie scene overall, like be it movies or music or whatever, you create because you really have to make it.
Hmm.
Like whoever's doing it is again doing it because they have to
To
do
do
it.
it.
It's almost compulsive in that way.
The reason could be anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and which is why I think that feel that you're talking about is so prominent in this. Not that that kind of urge is not there in commercial work, but then the thing is that when I write a song, I don't think about यार ये
चलेगा या नहीं
हाँ
चलेगा.
चलेगा या नहीं. Never
वही.
that's never a concern. I will think about maybe song A will work better with an audience than
Yeah.
song B, but both A and B were written irrespective of the audience. They were written because I wanted to write them. So I think that is very important to the indie scene also, and as long as people keep doing this honestly, it's gonna thrive.
So, I think this is the last question. What
Yeah.
is your vision of yourself in the future? Because you are really young, and I think
I mean,
you must be thinking about it. Ki,
yeah.
where am I going? Where is this
Always
journey going?
obsessively thinking about it. But
So, where is the journey going, Amartya?
well, the journey for me. So even within music, there are separate passions. Since I recorded my EP, I started taking a more active interest into the whole recording process
Recording process.
and all of that. So now I work at a indie recording studio called Gharka Studios, and we
In Delhi?
yeah in Delhi, and that has given me a new outlet. So I think my vision is to just be associated with this art form in general, without making a routine of it.
Hmm.
Like that is the one thing that I'm very scared of and very skeptical of. I don't want to be in a position that I often find myself in, that I have to play a gig in order to pay the bills or whatever. You know, I don't want to be in that
In
place.
that place.
Because then the reason why I'm doing all of this is somehow lost. So my vision for the future would just be to, I don't know, just record more people, listen to more
Listen to more
musicians,
musicians.
discover more about myself and other people, learn from them. At the end of the day, it's just that.
So, no
like,
material ambitions as such.
material ambitions, at least for me, I've learned that are no matter how much you have, you'll always want more.
Always.
When I was in the 10th grade, I would have sold the world for an electric guitar.
Yeah.
Now I have two and I want a third one. That never ends. So yeah, there's no point having material ambitions is probably what I'm trying to say.
So, all you
But
need is satisfaction.
just the satisfaction of being able to do what you
What
love
you-
doing without making a drag out of it. It's the hardest part of doing any of this, and also is the part that you are always thinking about, but somehow it comes together at some point. At some point you have this moment where you realize that
Yeah.
I'm in the right place and this is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah.
Yeah. So, Martha, would you like to play another song for us,
I'm sure.
which will sort of end this podcast?
Of course, I'll have to
So,
tune
yeah,
my
yeah,
guitar back.
definitely. Today we were talking to Amartya Ghosh, who came to Mica for performing for us. And he came along with Mahesh, but he couldn't come to us for what the reason was?
Mahesh is really unwell at
Yeah,
this
he was
point.
really
He's been
unwell on stage
touring a
also.
lot.
Yeah, I could figure out that he won't be able to come.
Hmm.
So it was really nice talking to Amartya. I hope people enjoyed listening to him.
Thanks.
I really enjoy listening to him on stage. He talks in between the songs for anyone who's attended his gigs. So here's another song from Amartya.
So this one's called Explorers. It's on the first EP. Anyway, it was.
First EP.
Her dreams erupt as blisters on the surface of her hands. She said she wants to wander all the streets and all the lands. I've felt my breath on her skin. It's like the roving breeze that helps us sail around in circles. Oh, I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. Count stars that shine in the sky. Count dreams that drown in the seas, and subtract one from the other. Calculate what's left of me, and I see ghosts walk on water. Count white spots in the skies, and a map stock of an island I can see, but cannot find how far I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. Here I am in the eye of the storm. Here I am in the eye of the storm. Caught in the eye of the storm. Here I am in the eye of the storm. So I'll wait here till I find my way home. For I broke my compass. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my humble plans. I broke my compass. I didn't mean to sail beyond my.
I hope this could go on, but if you want the feels of the same thing, you could definitely go on YouTube anytime and just type out Amartya Ghosh, and we get a lot of videos and a lot of feelings like this, similar to these.
Yeah.
So, Amartya, any final words? How you like our studio first thing?
This is great. I mean, I think Mica is really special to have this place within the university. It's the first time I've encountered something like this. I only see this in movies that
Yeah.
do not depict
First
Indian
time I came and this
universities
was
at
the
all.
same feeling.
Yeah. This is pretty cool, and it's great that you guys have it.
So, any final words for us, Micans? Anyone out there in the world?
Um, Thank you, Micah and Studio 7 and Fangirl for having me here. I've been made feel really special here, and it's great. It's really nice, and thanks for having me here in the studio.
For sure, for sure. We
and
look out for
doing this.
opportunities like this to get people and talk to us and tell about their life so people can learn something important apart from books. Experiences matter.
Experiences do matter.
That is what podcasts are for. So today was the episode with Amartya Ghosh. He came to us because of Studio 7, which organized an event called Verve at our campus. And it was a co-sponsored event by or a co-organized event by Fangirl.
Fangirl, yeah.
Anything about Fangirl you want to say?
I mean, it's really brave that Meet and all the other guys have pulled this off to want an indie scene and build it out to scratch is really inspiring for us musicians, and I hope more and more such things keep growing, and and I wish Fangirl all the success in the world because it's really important to us.
Yeah. So definitely people who are listening to us, who listen to this podcast ever, go out there, search for Fangirl, like their page, search for Amartya Ghosh, like his Instagram page, like his Facebook page, or do whatever on that page you want, as he said in the gig. So that's all for today. Bye bye. Good night, good morning, anytime you're listening. See you.